Do you love a bit of face-to-face networking? Networking is one of the primary ways that I have grown my business. There are other ways that I have gained customers, but consistently over the years, networking has always been the best one for generating new clients for me. I think it's an awesome strategy. I know there are plenty of people that hate networking with a passion. I know there are plenty of people who have tried networking and think it doesn't really work for them. I honestly believe it can work for almost any business out there. So what I thought I'd do today is give you my 7 top tips for how to make networking really work for you. Number 1, turn up. Now I know that sounds ridiculously straightforward, but what I mean is if you go to networking events that are regular, if it's whether that's that you are a member of a group or maybe it's a monthly chamber event, FSB event, something like that, that happens regularly, you need to show up regularly and show up consistently. Bear in mind that everybody is looking at you and thinking about, could I introduce that person to one of my customers? Could I rely on them? Can I depend on them to give my customer a great service? And if you are slapdash with when and how you turn up and how often you turn up, then you're straight away planting the seed of doubt into those potential referrers' minds about just how reliable you are. Especially if you go to networking events where there is a list of attendees published, if your name is on that list and then you don't show up, that's really giving people a negative about you. So be very careful about no-shows. Be consistent, turn up regularly. Number 2, I think I'm already running this over time. I'm going to try and whiz through. Number 2 is perfecting your introduction, your 60-second, your 90-second introduction. The key thing I would say in this is prepare. You don't have to over-prepare. It doesn't have to be beautifully scripted. It doesn't have to be scintillated and amazing. What you really want to think about is it clear and is it really simple and are you memorable? And memorable doesn't have to mean that you're hilarious or you're a massively big character. It just means that a few hours later somebody would be able to remember what it is that you actually said you do. You don't have to tell people about every single thing you do and every kind of client you can help. Less is definitely more when it comes to those introductions. Number 3, look to actively generate referrals for other people at those events. One of the biggest ways that networking works is through reciprocity. The fact that anytime you do something good for somebody else in the room, natural human nature means they now want to help you. And one of the best ways that you can create that spirit of reciprocity is by finding referrals for other people in that room. Not to mention the fact that you then help 2 people who need each other, which is just a happy days moment anyway. But number 3 is generate referrals. Number 4 is provide testimonials. This is actually one of the easiest ways that we can help people in our networks, and yet we so often overlook it. How many people have you worked with where you've loved the service, you've promised them a testimonial, you've promised to give them a recommendation on LinkedIn, but it's item number 842 on your list and you don't get round to it? But it's a really simple way of giving value to somebody else in your networking group and generating that spirit of reciprocity. So that's number 4, provide testimonials for people. Number 5 is following up on your promises. So when you're at a networking event and you say, Bob, I know just the person you need to speak to, I'm going to introduce you to Dave. You need to remember to introduce Bob to Dave after that meeting. As soon as you do that, you've created an introduction, you've created a moment of value, you are helping people, but it also shows you are dependable, you're reliable, you remember what you've said, and you follow up. Whereas if you forget to follow up, then you'll come across as scatty and perhaps unreliable. So you reduce those possibilities of people putting you in front of their clients because they've got that question mark about whether you remember what you've committed to and will actually follow through. So that is number 5, follow up on your promises. Number 6 is having one-to-ones. And making sure that they are both structured and constructive. It's also remembering that a 1-to-1 is each getting to find out about the other's businesses. Too often, these things turn into a one-at-one, and somebody talks at the other person for 60 minutes and doesn't even ask them a single thing about them. That is not the way to generate reciprocity. So don't expect to generate business out of a one-to-one. You are just simply looking to strengthen that connection, get a much stronger understanding of what that other person does so you can actively look for referrals, but you're also looking to give them a much clearer view of what you do, who you do that for, and what kind of introductions you're looking for. One-to-ones are super, super powerful. The vast majority of introductions via networking will come from the one-to-ones outside of the meeting rather than from that meeting itself. And then the final thing is invite visitors. That's a great thing that you can do for the networking group. It will always get you brownie points with the organisers because you're helping them to make their lives easier. And the organisers of networking groups are usually brilliant recommenders. But it also, again, you're bringing new people into the room, you're creating new energy. You could even invite somebody who's a hot prospect along to a networking event, and it just gives you a reason to end up spending an hour or so with that person. You're not specifically talking about what you do, but you're strengthening that connection. So those are my 7 top tips for how to make networking work for you. This did come out of one of the weekly tasks in my mastermind group. So if this is the kind of thing you'd like to work on more regularly, head over to taylorie.co.uk and have a look at my business growth mastermind group.